Well, good afternoon to you, and you're welcome to the program. It's Good Afternoon, Ghana, and our focus this afternoon is on ASSIN North constituency. We'll be talking more about all the updates that has come through, including today the NPP, going to the polls to elect their candidates for that particular by-election that's going to be happening soon in the area. So as the NPP is also preparing, there's still also some members of the NDC, with a continuous campaign, of course, with Jachikwe Singh, whom they have said that he is the one leading their votes or leading the party into parliament again. Remember that there's also the controversy of the Supreme Court's ruling. The reasons have been released, and those who have gone through have shared their opinions about it. Various lawyers have also shared their opinions also. The NDC has been doing the back and forth with the Electoral Commission. We'll be looking at all that later on. But for now, let me also let you know that we have Eric Delano Alifo, who is a lawyer. He's a legal member of the NDC who will join us. And also Pargwe Wachidankwa is also government spokesperson on governance and security. He will also join us here on set. But let's take a breather. When we come back, you see the guests, and then we start the discussion. All right, you're welcome back to the program. It's Good Afternoon, Ghana. Let me introduce the guest to you. I have Pargwe Wachidankwa, who is a governance spokesperson on governance and security. Pargwe, you're welcome. And welcome to Ghana.
Good afternoon.
You actually look fresh.
Thank you. Very good afternoon to your viewers. You look well as well.
Thank you. Nanadu is taking good care of me. I must confess, yeah.
The president is very kind to the Ghanaian people.
He is.
In his service and deliverables.
Pargwe, my afternoon was not going too well, but I think I've made it. You've changed it. Thank you.
You're welcome,
but we also have maybe I would say one new member who's probably joining the Metro team. That is Eric Delano Alifo. He's a member of the NDC legal team. He's also a lawyer as well. Eric, thank you so much for your time. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Right. Looks like you're looking around a lot. Look at me. Your mic is off. Yes.
Is it on now?
Yes, it's on.
Okay, all right, fine. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm just enjoying the place. I like it.
Admiring.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Very beautiful place.
Yeah, feed your eyes.
Yeah.
You won't get this anywhere in Ghana.
Yeah.
No.
I think so.
Yeah.
I've been to quite a few studios, and
I know.
This is exceptional.
Welcome home.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you also. It's been quite an inconvenience, period with you between last night and this morning, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you have been patient with us. Thank you so much. So I understand you are on the NDC legal team.
Yes.
That was on the Jachikwe Singh's case in the Supreme Court.
No, not really.
Okay.
Not in that matter.
Okay.
But the group of lawyers, NDC group of lawyers.
Oh.
Yeah, we refer to all of us as legal team.
Okay.
So one of them.
That's what.
Yeah,
okay.
I was in court during one of the hearings anyway, but I was not one of the lawyers on record.
Oh, okay. Then I got the misinformation. All right, thank you. So let's have maybe the video from ASSIN North, where the executives of the NPP were telling us how prepared they are as they go to the polls to elect the candidate for the by-election in ASSIN North. We had the organizer, the national organizer, and the general secretary as well speak to us. Let's have that video.
Party winning the ASSIN North seat. Today is the election day. We have already gone through the processes to open nominations. 2 people filed. They went through vetting, and then we passed all of them to contest. So today, the polling station executives, constituency executives, patrons, council of elders will determine who is going to be our candidate for the by-election. So far we are pleased with the processes. It appears calm. I've been monitoring the campaign. The campaign has been very decorous. You would notice that insults are really low. So I'm happy. What is important is that we are going to come through this process. One person is going to emerge victorious. The rest of us, we are going to push that person. We are going to wage an effective and election-winning campaign to snatch the seat from the NDC. That is exactly what is going to happen. So far, I'm happy with the process. We are about to start the elections, and hopefully, by close of day, we will know who is our candidate for the by-elections.
Today, whoever emerges as the winner, it is the party that has won. And as a party, we have put in place the necessary mechanism to make sure that quickly we'll be able to patch up our differences, we'll be able to reconcile the two parties and their supporters. And tomorrow, you see that NPP will be in full campaign mood, full campaign swing in ASSIN North constituency. And we are very sure that based on what we have seen going around the constituency, the comments that we are hearing, come 27 June, NPP surely will take back our seat.
Some controversies also in ASSIN North constituency, and that has to do with a certain Charles Opoku that the NDC has raised concerns about, that he is not a registered voter in that particular constituency, and so, but rather in another constituency. So they think that if you have not done a vote transfer, as the law is saying, as they're quoting, then they will not allow or they will not agree. But the NPP disagrees with that position and have also used the same constitution to defend its position. And by now, we must agree or accept that Charles Opoku is still in the running towards becoming the candidate for the NPP in ASSIN North. And then there have been, you know, with that particular Charles Opoku, there was a back and forth of debates. The NDC released a statement, the NPP responded, and EC joined. And then after the EC joining, the NPP replied again, and the EC also replied. So there's been a number of press releases flying all over the place as far as the ASSIN North is concerned. Parliament has spoken, and the two leaders of the groups have stated. Minority leader Kassel Atoforsen says that the police should be up and doing as far as that constituency is concerned and the by-elections. And the majority leader has also, called on Decron from both parties, and he says that, well, Chiriponi had the most violent by-elections. So when we're talking about by-elections, don't mention that place. What is it called? Ayawaso West Wogon. Ayawaso West Wogon. But all the same, we're praying for a more peaceful by-elections. Let me come to Paraguay. Let me start with you, because you have a major program today. How is it going from your information that you have gathered from your leaders in that constituency?
Yeah, well, so Annie, a very good afternoon to my colleague on the panel, and good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners on social media. The New Patriotic Party is very poised today to do the by-election. We are no doubt in our mind that we would be able to present a viable candidate. That would be a very good contest for the NDC. We have had close to about 31 by-elections in this country. The NPP has won about 16 of those by-elections. I think that is a clear indication that we are champions when it comes to by-elections in this country. We are no doubt in our mind that the people of ASSIN North would also make a very concrete decision as it relates to the NPP and our candidate. And the side of Parliament would be a stronger majority, as we also desire. I think that we've been very forthright with our decisions. We are very confident again that whoever emerges victorious would be able to unite the rank and file of the New Patriotic Party. All the leaders are on ground for the by-election to be held. The General Secretary is there. The youth organizer is there. The organizer himself is there. I'm very certain that the chairman is on ground just to make sure that all the people that needs to be campaigned for and rallied for behind, we would be able to select a very good candidate that will be viable for the major election in 20 days. You know that in 20 days, we have the major by-election. And then we can be able to see that Parliament is in full swing. We have a very closed-up team in Parliament to continue to administer and govern this country legislatively. I have sought to advise the NDC, again, on Jesse Kwesing, that, I think that he's a very senior citizen. I think that advice would be for him to recline and allow the NDC to do their own internal elections and bring up a different candidate. I know the issues are in court. It's not yet been concluded yet, so I do not want to be in contempt of court. But if you look at the back and forth of issues that have happened, I think that it's a clear indication that people do not want a lot of judicial precedents being set up. I followed the conversations as well between the letters that have been written from our political party, NPP, and the rebuttals coming from the NDC and that's of the EC. And I think that is very clear. The Constitution is very clear. The Constitution states very confidently that if you are a citizen of the country, if you are a voter, a registered voter, if you're of sound mind, if you're above 21 years old, you can be able to stand for electioneering. I think it's so clear that you don't necessarily need to be registered in that particular constituency to represent the people, and those provisions have been given. I can appreciate the provisions also given from the various CIs, as in the instruments that bring interpretations to the Constitution as well.
But the CI is also clear, isn't it?
Very much. It doesn't rule that out at all. But
so let me ask this question: if we get to the national elections, right, and Charles Opoku has to vote, can he vote?
Why can't he vote?
He doesn't have a vote. He's not registered in that constituency. So his name is not in the register of that particular constituency. It's simple and clear. I don't know why this has become
but then you're presupposing that Charles is going to win the primaries.
I'm presupposing.
You're presupposing that Charles is going to win the primaries. Suppose he doesn't win the primaries.
So let's put that in a hypothesis.
Well,
should he win?
What if he doesn't win?
Eventually should he win and eventually becomes the MP, during national elections, can he vote?
During national elections, you mean 2024?
Yes.
He can transfer his votes.
Oh.
If he so wishes.
Oh, okay, so at that point, because he's going to vote, he has to transfer
I'm asking, he can transfer his votes if he so wishes.
Currently, can he vote?
I don't know who is going to become the primaries leader for the NPP.
But he's a candidate.
He is a candidate.
Okay, I'll get back to you. Let me involve lawyer Eric as well.
Yes.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yes, I know.
I don't know if my question was legit.
Yes, except that you asked if he could vote. I think what you wanted to ask is whether he could vote in that constituency during the national election.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yes.
In that constituency, actually, made it clear.
Obviously, if he's not able to transfer his vote from wherever he's a registered voter, he cannot vote in the constituency that he's elected if he gets elected. It's interesting that council is saying that he's not yet elected.
Can he come closer?
He has not yet emerged as the winner from the primary, which means that he is thinking that perhaps the law would only trigger if he's elected. And that is the argument we have been making for Mr. Kwesing all along, that the law, the provision in Article 94 2A will only trigger if the person is elected as an MP. Mm-hmm. And that's what we are going to be speaking about extensively today. But that's why he was alluding to that Mr. Opoku has not yet been elected, and so if he's elected, then they will cross that bridge, and I agree with him. Definitely I agree with him. Yeah, but he will not be able to vote in that constituency if he's not able to transfer his. It means that there's something else he has to do.
Which is why I said during the national elections, should he win and eventually become the MP for the area?
Yes.
Okay, then the law will trigger.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, and I agree. I agree that there's a little controversy about the interpretations that the various parties are giving to this provision. But you see, it's never been an issue that anyone who is desirous of contesting as an MP for a particular constituency should be a registered voter in that constituency. It never came up before until NPP was pushed to the wall this time around, and then they have to go back to the Constitution and look at all the laws and so anyway. But their own, the nomination form itself indicates that the endorsers will have to, there's a provision in there that says that we are endorsing for this person who is also from the same constituency. It's very clear. That's what the CI says. So yeah, but I don't want to belabor the point over there. I think that we have gone past that argument somehow. We have also taken notice of the kind of public releases or the responses that the EC is giving to the complaints by NDC. Those responses just look like coming from NPP strong room, and we don't expect a public institution to be issuing such responses because it's a public service. They are serving all of us. They are paying them from our taxes, all of us our taxes. And so if they respond as though they are working for NPP, which many of us think.
That's how you read it?
Yes, exactly. Because if you look at the language, very harsh language, and when they say that NDC is in the habit, or they say as usual of NDC trying to malign the EC and all of this, it's very unfortunate. We also know that there are several NPP activists that have been appointed to the commission. We all know that. There's no secret. So we can argue as much as we want, but we know it's a fact. And there's even a case in court right now against one of them. I don't have confidence that it's going to come out well anyway. And so I'm not one of those people who would advocate for us going to court to challenge such issues in court from what we have seen over the years. So clearly, I think that, like I said, this is coming up only now because this, is it Charles Opoku, or this guy has been pushed, NPP has been pushed to the corner, and then they have to go quickly and look at the constitution and see if there's anything we can raise to defend him, and that is it. Otherwise, everybody knows that if you are not a voter in a constituency, you wouldn't even go there and say you want to contest an election for that constituency. But that's where we are now. They are prepared to do anything. As long as they make the decision, they are prepared to do anything, and they have the backing of the establishment to do it, and that is very unfortunate.
I suppose we'll monitor how things will go as far as the primaries and the by-election itself is concerned. And depending on how it goes, it can be a classical example to the Jachikwesin processes. Can it be likened to it? Because now we're looking at how when the person is contesting and when the law will kick in and all that.
Yeah, except that there will be a slight difference because in this particular case, there's no constitutional provision on that. Yes,
I agree.
For the Jachikwesin one, the constitutional issues. Yes, so I think that's where the difference would be. But clearly, when he's saying that...
I'm only referring to the timing of when the law kicks in.
Yes, as for that, yes, clearly, because that's what he said. He said that the man was not yet elected. You see, so they are waiting. So he's saying that don't even talk about that yet. Let's wait. If he emerges, then we can talk about that. And it's the same thing we're saying. Owing allegiance is only if the person becomes an MP. So let's wait until the person is elected as an MP, and then we can interrogate that issue. So if the person was not elected, then that issue will not even come up at all, because the fear actually is that we don't want MPs in our parliament that will owe allegiance to other countries. So if they don't become MPs, then if they are filing their nominations, they are not MPs. You see, you become an MP only if you are elected. If you get elected, that is when we look at it and see whether you owe allegiance to another country. Because if you are filing your
nominations, there are other candidates anyway.
Yes. And there are the Article 94(1) deals with eligibility. So if you are eligible, if you are a citizen of Ghana, then you can go ahead and file your nomination. And he was clear, at the time he filed his nomination, he was clearly a citizen of Ghana. Even if he was a citizen of another country, he was a citizen of Ghana as well.
Margaret, do you appreciate this argument?
Annie, I can only appreciate the argument on one motive, that you are filing nomination just for the purposes of filing nomination and desiring that you will not win an election. But if you have a singular motive of winning an election, you would want to clean up your home. You would want to...
That can be applied to Charles Opoku.
Well, I'm talking about Jachikwesin.
I know, but we are likening the situation in reference to timing of when the law kicks in.
Yes, the law will kick in when it has to, at the right time. But I'm saying that if you want to run for an election, you want to clean up your home. And so at the time when Kwesin was filling the forms and putting up himself to stand for an election, he had dual citizenship. He had not been elected yet. He had not been voted yet. But he desired that the people would vote for him. And so if you desire to go into parliament, you are very much aware of all the regulations. You are aware that you are not supposed to owe allegiance to any other country aside the country of your birth, which is Ghana. And I'm concerned that certain precedents is gradually being set in that regard. I wish to state very clearly that if anyone desires to come into public office, you want to clean up your home. If you have dual citizenship, you want to clean up your home. You don't want to come picking up a form when you still have dual citizenship, or you have sent an application for denial of your dual citizenship, and it does take time. It does take time for your citizenship to be renounced from any country. It doesn't take, it may take a year, it may take 2 years, it depends. It's just the same process of acquiring your citizenship. Some people work their entire life to get a citizenship. So I think that if you're coming into Ghana and the law is not against you having a dual citizenship and still coming into Ghana, but if you want to put yourself into public service and as a place of trust and ownership with great oath and authority, you would want to clean up your home.
Yeah, I disagree completely with counsel.
So we're getting into the Supreme Court reasons or reasoning
yes.
into the judgment.
You see, and when he stated that if you have the motive, unless you have the motive that you only wanted to contest and you are not expecting to win, that is wrong, you see, because, you see, the motive could also be that by the time I get elected, I would have cleared everything. And that is what the law says. In fact, the law, although the law is not explicit on that, the Constitution, it says that you cannot be an MP when you owe allegiance. And so that can be interpreted in various ways. Yes, except that it cannot be interpreted that during the filing, you should ensure that you don't owe allegiance. That one is clear. That is not what the law envisages. The law is saying that you can't be an MP and owe allegiance to another country. And so if I think that by the time I get elected as an MP, I would have cleared all of this, then you can't tell me that I didn't put my house in order before I came to file my papers. So, in fact, that's a matter of fact. Before he came to file his papers, he had already put in an application to renounce his citizenship, didn't he? He did that in December 2019, one clear year before the elections. And he was expecting to get the certificate before, in fact, he was expecting to get it in June. It didn't come in June, but it came before the elections. It came about a month, clearly before the elections. And I'm saying that in the Constitution, that same provision that we are all trying to struggle over right now, look, it says that you can't be an MP when you owe allegiance to another country. And so it is not saying that you cannot file to become an MP when you owe. So, counsel, if you are, and I can understand why you are explaining it that way, because it has to suit your purpose. And your purpose is that you have to make sure that you reduce the number of NDC by 1. And so if you are looking around and you think that this is an area that we can have something to explore, why not? And that's why you went there. But clearly, I don't see why you would say that maybe somebody didn't put his house in order just because the person came and filed his nomination at the time that the processes of renouncing his citizenship had not been completed. In fact, he has submitted, in fact, he said that he even submitted his passport and everything, and then he came to Ghana, and he came to file his nomination, and he was expecting that by the time he would get elected, in fact, he was even expecting that long before he would get elected, he would get his certificate. It didn't come, but it did come before he got elected. So what's the problem? What's the problem? I believe seriously that if it were the other way around, I'm very sure the processes would have been different. Nobody would have been challenging. I'm very, very sure about that.
Different.
Yes. First of all, nobody would have gone to court in the first place if it were the other way around. If you were to be an MP, I don't even believe anybody would go to court because it is very clear. And I believe even if anybody would go to court, I doubt very, very much if the process would have been the same as we have seen. And if the judgment would have been the same as we have seen.
So the judgment, I think you all have read it so well, and I've seen how you have brought out your, issues with it. This afternoon, I was asking someone who is a non-lawyer that if the Supreme Court misjudge, what's the next step? is the Supreme Court has misjudged. And in your opinion, the Supreme Court has misjudged, not so?
Yes, I think so. I think, look, there's nothing else. If I is the apex court.
Yes.
But we have to give feedback. You see, one of my problems even is that it doesn't look like our judiciary, especially the Supreme Court, is too willing for us to be harsh in giving feedback. And so every time we are very careful. We don't know what to say because you don't know why you would say that the court will feel scandalized and then they will invite you and say you are contemptuous of the court and all of that. So this is a problem for us. Otherwise, I think that the court should know that the public has expectations of the court. And that expectation, the only way the court will know what the public is expecting is the feedback that the public would give, the criticisms that they would give, and all of that, yes. But we are not having much room to do that because we are putting.
That's how you feel.
Yes, I
Is
feel
it because
so.
you're in opposition?
No, not really. When I'm talking about we don't have much room to express our feelings about the court. It is because of the processes in the court about these contempt cases, the contempt hearings.
Yeah.
And the contempt hearings.
But I'm asking that because you have. Some of your leaders have repeatedly said that the Supreme Court is also being an appendix of the government, and they seem to tilt towards a certain part. The criticisms have been quite wide, and I'm asking if it's because you are in the opposition.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but all of us are observing the decisions that they are churning out, and we can be the judges ourselves to look at the decisions and the many outrageous and controversial decisions, and so. I'm not prepared to say that they are tilting me, but very clearly we are reading the judgments that are coming, and I am saying that I believe that some of those judgments could have come differently.
If it was a different panel.
Yes, I believe so.
A paragraph. Some of the criticism that came, and this was written by your communications director.
Yes.
One says that Section 20D of the Representation of the People's Act, PNDC Law 284, provides that a parliamentary candidate must be qualified at the time of his election. Strangely, the Supreme Court of Ghana, in their judgment, says that qualification must be at the time of nomination. So the timing of the qualification, he says that without what the Constitution has prescribed, the Supreme Court is shifting the qualification period to the nomination point. Does it make sense to you? Does it send any,
No,
common sense analysis?
So you're saying that Supreme Court, I think that the apex court is without fault for me. I think. Well, not necessarily without fault.
I thought that one.
No.
Nobody is a repository of knowledge, not even the apex court.
Of course. No, but I think that the apex courts, with their decisions that they make and interpretations of the law, is key to what they say and how they understand it and how they interpret it. Now, I do not think that the Supreme Court is in bed with government. I do not think that our government is in bed with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has been very independent of their decisions. They own their decisions that they make considerably. In recent times, I think sometime today I followed some conversations that were going on the Auditor General on some feedback that came from the Supreme Court. Clearly, you see that the Supreme Court makes decisions that is in line with the law. The Supreme Court does not make a decision to please anybody. And the Supreme Court of this country has not sought to make decisions to please anybody. So I just want to remind
I didn't actually say so.
Yeah, I know.
I'm only saying that.
Twisting.
Well,
not by him. I think he's not alluding to that.
Yes. But so I just
except that their decisions are always pleasing NPP.
No,
I'm not saying that was the motive for the decisions, but you are always happy. You are always happy with their decisions.
With the outcome of the judgment.
How can the outcome of the decisions of the Supreme Court?
NPP is always happy with the decisions that are coming from the Supreme Court.
What about examples of some of these decisions?
Oh,
Judge Equation, yes.
Judge Equation, the birthday, whatever case. The birth certificate case, the EC. No, several of the cases, the Abu Ramadan cases, 1 and 2 and all of that. No, we really, I think the examples abound. we don't have to go on that course right now. But I look, it's very clear. We have complained over and over again.
No, but Eric, I think to be fair to the viewers and even to be fair to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court is independent of their decisions that they make. I cited Domlevo's case. I mean, I'm sure you followed.
Well, I can even make. You see, I don't want.
They are not.
Annie, I don't want the discussion. You see, counsel. I just don't want.
They don't do the.
I don't want you to. You see, I don't want you to twist the discussion as though I am saying that the Supreme Court is embedding government. That's not what I'm saying. I have problems with the decisions that are coming, whether they are embedded with government or not. I don't know.
Yes, the decision you have a problem with.
I have problems with the decision. Let me tell you that let me tell you something about the Domelevo case. To what effect? The man has gone home. Look, I was counsel for Professor Sare. Counsel for Professor Sare. As soon as Domelevo. Yes, I was a lawyer, and we filed the case for this to challenge the decision of the president. In this same Domelevo case, we had to withdraw the case because when the court was not ready to hear the case early enough to make expedited decision on the case, I just said that, well, the man has gone home already. And so I was even hauled to the court because I didn't even want to go to the court.
And it's easy to read in between the lines that at the time the judgment will make positive impact, the court
didn't act.
Will not, act.
The court didn't act at the time we were expecting the court to act.
Possibly would decide that we're not going to, sit on this case until he's out of the office. Then it looks like the purpose has been that let's just remove
not
him.
At all.
What the Flagstaff House wanted
is that I try to say is that what has happened will not serve as judicial precedence for us in the future.
It may serve in the
exactly.
You can say that. You can say that.
We cannot say that it's just being thrown away.
It may serve in the future,
and then of what use it is.
It may serve in the future only to the extent that somebody else may be in the seat of government. We don't know.
Let me take a quick breather. I'll come back and we will round up.
But counsel, you and I should agree that the decision didn't come at the right time.
No, I agree with the decision that has been made.
Welcome back. I've just seen a comment that's interesting. The person says that, Bentie Longi, he says, the people of ASSIN North constituency are not like Kumewu voters. What does that mean? What does that even mean? Anyway, so you're welcome to the program. I'm still with Palgrave Boachidamko and also a member of the legal team of the NDC with me here in the studio, Eric. Eric, welcome back. So where do we go from here? As far as the Supreme Court ruling is concerned, your minority side said they disagree, especially being specific on Gertrude Tokonu, the nominee, but they are going to approve her by consensus.
Yeah, I think.
Why?
Well, I think what they mean is that you cannot, they cannot reject her on account of
just that case.
Just one case or two cases or maybe even three cases. There must be something egregious. So I think that's what they are saying. They disagree. And because, when she was asked about her jurisprudence, his philosophy and all of that, and they said she was a textualist, meaning that what the text says, the people who are textualists, they are not prepared to go beyond the text. They don't want to read meaning into the text. They look at the text and exactly what it says. And when you look at the 94(2)(a), clearly there's nothing there about the time of filing, and it just says allegiance.
It's a little vague.
Yes. And so if you want to go strictly by the text, you would rule that until the person is an MP, that provision shouldn't trigger.
So as a textualist, at least...
Yes. So we are expecting that perhaps maybe she could have dissented from some of the other
views.
Yeah, but it's a unanimous decision, and we've seen several of those in recent times. So yes, but clearly I think what the minority caucus is saying that they cannot reject her on account of only that or block her approval as a result of that. And so they allow Parliament to just go ahead and I agree with that.
In the text, they said the subject to, that's a 94.1, subject to the provisions of this article, a person shall not be qualified to be a member of Parliament unless he is a citizen of Ghana.
Yes. And so you see, when you go by that,
attained the age of 20. Okay.
When you go by that, Mr. Kwesi was a citizen of Ghana, isn't it? And that 94.1 is only talking about the eligibility. You see, and he's a citizen of Ghana, and so he can begin to file his papers, his nomination papers, and he did.
As a citizen of
Ghana. As a citizen of Ghana.
So that's what you're saying. That so even if he's holding another citizenship, it does
he's
not,
still a citizen of Ghana.
It does not strike the fact
that the only time they will look at it to see if you hold another citizenship is when you are elected as an MP, because then it means you owe allegiance to another country. So if you are not elected, like he said, if you are not elected, you just pack and go home, and you can go back to your Canada if you want to go to.
You as a lawyer, let us into this before Parwe comes in. The High Court case, that there are also threats. It was even captured on the front page of a newspaper. Projecting or preempting the number of years Judge Kwesi is possibly or can possibly go in for, should he be convicted as a criminal.
And I look, that is just NPP orchestration, because, look, clearly, it is. You will not agree. You know, some of these things, we all know, everybody knows, because they are challenging. And counsel even did say that he advised, I don't know whether he advised directly, personally, he advised Mr. Kwesi not to contest. He should leave NDC to select somebody else to contest. And then his reason was that because there are cases in court and all of that. So, clearly, they are trying everything to deter him from contesting. That is it. So I don't really see the point. The point is that, look, the man has to have the intent, or the intention, if you like, to commit a crime. And we don't even see any perjury here, because the man said that, look, I have renounced my citizenship. I don't owe any allegiance. In fact, even if he was wrong, when you read the statement he has released, what he's saying is that in December 2019, he had submitted his passport and he had applied to renounce his citizenship. If at that time he assumed that because he had already elected to renounce his citizenship, he didn't owe allegiance to Canada anymore, if that was what he believed, even if it was wrong, you see, that could only trigger when we come to 94-2 if he's elected as an MP. But he believed genuinely at that point that he was not lying to anybody.
The intention was clear.
Yes, once I've submitted my papers to renounce my citizenship, I don't owe allegiance to anybody. So the intent to lie was not there in the first place. And then he went ahead. And then let's not forget that the Electoral Commission is a public institution. They are supposed to vet his nomination papers. They are supposed to tell him at some point that you are wrong, you cannot contest, or you can contest. And not only that they were supposed to do this by themselves, they were even petitioned. There was a petition to the Electoral Commission to challenge his eligibility. They went through all of that with him, and they okayed him. They said, no, you are good to go. And before the election, the man had renounced effectively his citizenship. He had a certificate and everything, so they said you can go ahead and contest. Now, throughout this, in fact, in the Supreme Court, the Electoral Commission didn't file anything. They didn't file anything. They didn't even, the court didn't even see the need to call the Electoral Commission and say that you are a public institution, you are working for Ghanaians, come and explain to us how you arrived at that decision to allow him to contest. They didn't. They just said that they refused to file an answer. How? So these are people we pay with our taxpayers' money. These are people who are working. These are people who...
But these are deductions you're making.
Yes.
Should a court case, should a court sit, as in the High Court sits, they probably might not go with your deductions.
No, I don't understand that question.
I'm saying that should a High Court sit on the case of the criminal or not criminal, they might not go by your deductions.
Well, they might not. They might come out with all kinds of things. But you see, let's also remember that...
And that could also be suicidal.
Well, that will not be for anybody. It's for NDC to face. And I will face that, yes.
So we should mind our business.
Yes.
We should mind our business.
Of course, yes. And Mr. Kwesi himself, because he has lawyers, they may have explained all of this to him and he still decided to go. So I don't see why anybody should be too bothered about that.
Okay.
But Annie, we should also remember that...
Land, so that he...
Yes, we should also remember that Mr. Kwesi's lawyers had tried several times to get the Supreme Court to interpret Article 94(2)A. And the courts refused. The High Court refused first. They appealed to the Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal refused. They applied certiorari to Supreme Court. Supreme Court refused.
Why?
So, I don't know.
They told you they won't do it.
That
or
is
they
the question we
just
should be
didn't
asking.
act.
And the NPP lawyer, the one who represented the plaintiff, he objected all along. And then after everything, the High Court had decided in their favor. Then now he went to court now and said, oh yeah, now Supreme Court, you have an issue to interpret. When during the process at the High Court, when they filed injunction against Mr. Kwesi, his lawyer said, no, there was an issue for the Supreme Court to interpret. Let's go to the Supreme Court. They said no. And the judge agreed.
Wow.
In the final judgment, they said no. And then they appealed to the Court of Appeal. No, the Supreme Court has to come in to supervise because this is wrong. Court of Appeal said no. They went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, no, we will not interpret anything. There is no need for us to. And the lawyer that objected this interpretation at the Supreme Court all along now ran to the Supreme Court. Now they filed a new suit to invoke the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. I said, now, dear, we think that there's a need for you to interpret this. And then the Supreme Court interpreted and then put injunction on the person.
Wow.
And then said that they should expand it. Look, if you look at this, look, we are all in this country. We just want justice.
I mean,
let's have a system that all of us will be happy about. That is it. It's only a section of people who are happy about how things are going. And it's not right. And they don't want us to talk about it too.
Forgive. Without saying, by his body language, it's clear frustration by the courts.
Well, I think it's clear frustration for the NDC that is not organized very much. The courts have stated it's very independent. I would want to ask counsel his interpretation of Sakande's issue and how he feels that it relates to what is happening to Kwesi.
You should first explain why the court, why we didn't have the opportunity.
We're talking about the timing and interpretations. Sakande was in Parliament holding on to his card without even triggering a renunciation process.
And then he finished Parliament and they took him to court.
That's after finding out that that's what he did.
Because you can be disqualified at any time.
Yes.
At any time when it is realized that you owe allegiance to another country.
This is clear frustration from the NDC. It's not a representation of the Supreme Court or even the justice systems in this country. When the party is requesting for the court to come in and give them interpretations and they decline.
And they decline about 4
times.
Is
the party's fault?
Where's evidence of decline?
The evidence is there.
Where's evidence of the
You haven't followed the case very well.
So it's clear you can get the evidence. You can get the
I've told you.
And the court has not given interpretation.
The court didn't.
Yeah, but it's the court's decision.
So the court decision can be criticized.
But that's not any frustration from anybody in government. It's not frustration. It's not frustration from anybody in government.
Happiness, isn't
no,
it?
How can their frustration be a happiness?
That is it.
It's a collective responsibility of ensuring that the various systems. It's a collective responsibility to make sure that the various systems are working. And I think that the various systems in the judicial services are working very well.
At this point in time, it was not working for them.
No, you see, it's not about the judicial system works for the judicial system. It works for the law.
And what is the judicial system? You are not
interrogating the particular things.
It works for the law. No, the law is the interpretation based on what the Supreme Court will say.
Okay.
So whether it goes in your favor or it does not go in your favor is the demands of the law and the interpretations of that.
Don't you see anything wrong with all the efforts that Kwesi's lawyers made?
If you may, this one says that my simple questions. Do we complete basic school immediately we finish writing the last paper, or when we receive the BEC certificate? Is it the certificate that determines completion or it confirms completion? 2, do we complete basic school merely because we registered, or it's after we finished writing all the papers? The Supreme Court should come again on this ruling. Ni Afum Jumaku said that in. This one says that, Annie, please don't act as a law woman who just asks unusual questions. So ask questions as a lawyer and a host, and allow the NDC man just bastardize. Okay, you are just attacking. Seriously, Annie, I think that all constituencies in Ghana will be developed to their desirable expectations if their sitting MPs resign and by-elections will be held. Wonderful Ghana. Kofi from Kokolikpo. I think my time is up. I wanted to ask you about your road construction, but I think that will be later. I have to get out of the studio for entertainment review. So thank you for coming to the studio.
Annie, do you know that the candidate of the NDC in Kumewu at the time I'm told he votes in Ayawaso West Wogo. Is that correct? Lawyer?
Well,
Did he transfer his votes?
No, he didn't.
I don't know about that.
You don't know about that?
That issue never came up.
Probably watch it.
Okay.
We'll check. We'll cross check. Probably watch it and cry. He speaks for government and he's also security. He speaks on security as well for government. Eric Delanyo Alifo is a member of the NDC legal team. Gentlemen, I'm grateful for your time.
Thank you, Annie.
That's what time will allow us. Entertainment review is next. Thanks for watching.